there are a bunch of things that a brand can do using Twitter. So first of all, let's understand the dynamics of Twitter as a platform. A lot of times people have a lot of Twitter handles that they follow, and there's a lot of chatter on Twitter, so it's a string of updates which keeps coming. Unlike email, it's not coming into any kind of an inbox. Unlike Facebook, it's also not landing on your wall where you can keep going and seeing it. It's just like a churn of bunch of things which keeps coming. So in that space, for a person to really see all that the various followers have been talking about is easier. It's easier said than done. It doesn't happen. So the Twitter behavior of users often goes around in terms of identifying some Twitter handles which are dearer than others, because they feel that they give out some interesting content, interesting information which they like, and they separate those out into some list or some group or something like that and follow those closer than the rest. So if your handle is amongst the rest, even though you may have followers, it may not generate enough visibility. Now first of all, why would anybody follow your handle? If you're a brand, why would somebody follow your handle? It has to have some specific relevance. Gone are the days when people followed somebody just because it sounded like a big brand or a big celebrity or anything like that. There has to be motivation, there has to be a reason for that. If it's about content which you are sharing, if that content is anyway easily found anywhere else, then again there is no reason to follow you, because it's not exclusive, it's not something which they will only get if they are following you. So usually the real interesting reason for somebody to follow is if you were to share something which is exclusive, which has a tendency of right here, right now, which is one of the reasons why news handles get followed a lot. News brands or news sites. So CNN would have a large number of followers because constantly they may be breaking news, and if I'm following CNN on Twitter, I may be getting that news earlier than through traditional channels. For a brand, usually that's tough because there isn't something happening all the time. There isn't a newness about the business which is time sensitive, which is happening this minute. Unless you are you're a stockbroking brand or something, and through the day you're talking about what shares are going up or down, or what do you think is a good buy or a good sell in the middle of the day, then yes, there is a business opportunity where people will follow you and keep getting your tips through the day. But otherwise, most brands find it challenging to generate interest on an ongoing basis. Then how do you use Twitter? So if you can still find interesting content to curate and share, so that's one way that if you are in a certain business and around that business, preferably around the business, somewhere close to your business focus, if you are able to bring out some latest information, latest news, maybe happening anywhere in the world, and curate it well, maybe share your opinion on it and keep sharing it maybe through the day, maybe once or 2 or 3 times or 4 times or 5 times a day, and people start associating you with that content. They think that, okay, rather than going into 10 other places and seeking that content, yours is the handle to follow because they will get that information sooner. So that's one way. Is it very exciting? Probably not. It's fine, it's average, it's hygiene. The second is where, as a brand, you can completely immerse yourself into the Twitter world and assume a personality which is about being one amongst your consumers, your friends and your fans. So then you have to be active potentially through the day and talking to your friends, making conversation. So we had one television channel who used to be our client, and there were times that become so dear to a certain Twitter audience that they would include that handle when they were making plans for offline parties or meetings and all, as if the channel was going to come and join them in the party. But it had become so much part of their day-to-day conversation. So the so-called person who was running behind the channel and who was running that account had actually, through the channel handle, generated a sense of friendship. Now this is very interesting space to get into, because then you personalize your brand. The brand is not anymore that abstract logo or that building which is there out there, but there is a vision of a person behind the brand, and it's getting into one-on-one conversations. It's a hard act to get across, because you first of all need to assume a certain personality, and that personality has to be connected to your brand persona outside. So if you are a stodgy old bank, suddenly you can't come on Twitter and become that friendly dude, because it's not that image which you otherwise have. So how do you carry that image of the brand persona also on Twitter? So it's tough act, but that's the second one. If you can swing it through, that's a very interesting space to be in. The third is, of course, opportunistically being present. Opportunistically being present is to do something when something is happening. So if it's a budget, and around the budget, if you're a bank and you have people who are well recognized, they are leaders in the industry, and their views are known. So while the budget is being announced, if some of your leaders can be on Twitter on your handle and keep sharing their viewpoints, then it's a very, very interesting for the users, and they'll follow you just for that. That's the third option. The fourth option is where you use it as a very pure sales tool or sales lead generation tool, which is how very famously Dell has used the Twitter handle. One of the Twitter handles. Dell has multiple Twitter handles, but one of the handles has been used very clearly with a sales opportunity. Where as you know, Dell was always it was never sold in stores. It was always through mail order and through catalog sales and things like that. So they had to have a way to get across to people with offers and promotions and coupons. They found Twitter to be a great way to give out coupon codes, that right now if you're buying this server, give this code and you can get a discount, you can get a free printer or whatever. Now that's a very interesting opportunity, that as a brand, if you take that call, that without announcement, without a predictability about it, through the week or through the month, you will throw interesting offers here and there, but with no pattern to it. So the only way that people can get those offers is if they follow you and they keep track of you. Of course, your product should be interesting, there should be a constant demand for it, and if it is, then they'll follow you just because they think that they might get a good deal every now and then. So that's one way. Now, of course, that's a good way to generate followers. You need to keep them interested by talking about your brand, talking about something interesting to them. So that's the other way. The last one is, of course, customer service. Now that's not even a choice, I would say. Today, Twitter is a place where people go and put out their complaints, their rants, their issues with the brand. Whether you are there on Twitter or not, they will do that. So if it's a phone company, if it's something else, they'll go and say, oh, so and so sucks, or this or that. I had another horrible experience. They are sharing it there. You can let them do that and let the other people join into that rant against you, or you can say no, I'm going to be there and take on all these complaints and handle them. So you create a customer care kind of a Twitter handle, or maybe your own corporate or brand handle, and look for all of these kinds of conversations, reach out to them, talk back to them, give them alternatives, give them solutions, take them to an offline place and address their issues. So definitely customer service is a place where you've got to be there as a brand today. So these are some of the different ways in which brands can use Twitter.